I never thought a quiet Saturday morning would turn into the kind of circus you only see on bad TV, but there I was standing barefoot in my ratty pajama pants gripping a homemade private property. Not for sale sign like a baseball bat, while Karen's gleaming white SUV sat caged behind my locked gate, her voice echoing off the pines, shrill, entitled, and loud enough to scare the squirrels clear into the next county, you know what I mean? There's that split second when you hear the padlock click and suddenly it's just you, your adrenaline, and the neighbor who's gone from passive-aggressive to straight-up villain in your life story, all in the space of a few weeks. The Realtor clipboard in a death grip was frozen on my porch eyes, darting between me and Karen like she was about to witness a wildlife attack on a nature documentary. Meanwhile, Karen leaned out her SUV window and hollered, "You can't trap me here. This property is mine to show," as if saying it loud enough would make it true. For a split second, the whole forest held its breath, and the only sound was the wind in the pines and the distant beep of a phone as hikers stopped on the trail to film the chaos, grinning like they'd hit the drama jackpot. Yeah, that happened. My peaceful cabin turned into a sideshow. But the real story, that started weeks earlier when trouble first knocked on my door. 3 weeks back, Karen shows up grinning like she's running for PTA president, big white smile, high-end yoga gear, the whole suburban routine. She gives me this neighborly spiel about how excited she is for new blood in the area, barely waits for me to answer before she starts fishing for info. Am I planning to sell any plans for the future? That sort of thing. I tell her, look, this place is my fresh start. Got it after the divorce. Not selling, not moving. This is home now. She gives me this look, lets her eyes roam my porch like she's measuring it for a new rug, and then walks off humming. And I should have known right there, nothing good comes from a neighbor humming. 2 days later, some hikers knock on my door asking what year my place was built. I'm caught off guard. They say they saw it listed online, thought they'd check it out in person. At first, I think they've got the wrong place. But the way they look at me, it's like they're seeing the for sale sign that doesn't exist. That night, I'm scrolling through real estate sites, and there it is, my cabin photos, and all up for sale, with pictures I never took, and guess whose name is on the listing as family representative? Yeah, Karen. That's when sleep stopped coming easy, when I started locking the doors twice and watching headlights on my driveway like a hawk. Next morning, I corner Karen in her driveway. I demand answers, and she just laughs. Actually laughs, tells me she's just gauging neighborhood interest, acting like trespassing, and putting my home online as some kind of friendly gesture. Then she strolls off, not a care in the world, humming that same off-key tune. From there, it's like living in a game of psychological warfare. More realtors start showing up, poking around my property, talking about investment potential. My no trespassing signs might as well have been invisible. Every time I thought it had calmed down, Karen would escalate new flyers, more listings, strangers showing up asking about open houses. She'd drop little comments like, "Some folks just aren't cut out for the mountains," all sweet on the outside, poison underneath. I tried ignoring her big mistake. Ignoring Karen is like leaving your picnic basket out for bears. It only invites trouble. The last straw came one night while I was grilling on the porch. I catch flashes out by the tree line. At first I think fireflies, but nope, it's Karen out there snapping photos of my cabin phone held high like she's shooting for Architectural Digest. I yell, she just waves and says she's helping a friend. That friend turned out to be every house hunter on the internet, because within days I got folks wandering up, one even asking if the open house started at noon or 2. That's when I started sleeping with a bat by the bed, and every night felt like waiting for the other shoe to drop. I called the cops, tried to file a complaint, but all I got were shrugs and paperwork. Nobody seemed to know what to do when your neighbor runs a fake real estate hustle on your own home. So I started documenting everything, camera footage, screenshots, copies of every bogus listing. I chased off every stranger with a flyer like I was the last sane person on the mountain. Karen. She just doubled down, told anyone who'd listen that I was a squatter, that I was just some caretaker who'd gotten attached to a place that wasn't mine. It was like living inside a gaslight. Then one afternoon, my buddy calls. He's seen a new listing, motivated seller, price to move, foreclosure. It was my life plastered online like some Black Friday clearance. That's when I realized this wasn't about money. It was about Karen proving she could get her way no matter who she steamrolled. So I fought back. I built a new gate, heavy steel, impossible to miss, put up more signs, more cameras. I called a lawyer, pulled every deed and receipt I could find, filed so many complaints I needed a separate folder. Karen, she just got bolder. New flyers showed up in town this time, calling me a hostile occupant, painting herself as some kind of real estate hero. Then twist time, a retired old-timer from the diner leans over his coffee and says, "You know, rumor is there's old mineral rights under your land. That's what she really wants." Suddenly, all the weird surveys, the pressure, the urgency, it all clicked. Karen didn't just want a mountain view. She wanted whatever she thought was under my land. Now I was fighting for more than just my house. I dug through old maps, asked neighbors about family stories, started to piece it together. The deeper I looked, the clearer it got. She was chasing gold that probably never existed. And I was just collateral, so I got proactive. Posted proof of my deed around town, handed out copies at the market. Even got the local Facebook group on my side. Karen started bringing men in suits, surveyors, maybe investors, marching around my fence line, pointing, arguing, acting like I wasn't even there. But this time people had my back. Folks recorded, posted online, started to see through her act. Then came the grand finale, another Saturday, just when I thought I'd get a peaceful weekend. Karen rolls up with a full entourage. 2 realtors, a guy in a suit, some investor types all looking ready to buy up half the county. They parade up my driveway like it's already theirs, and Karen launches into her big sales pitch, sweet as syrup, about the deal of a lifetime. I waited until they were all on my land, then swung that heavy gate shut with a clang that echoed down the mountain, locked it, and planted myself there, sign in one hand, folder of proof in the other. "This is my home," I told them, loud enough for the cameras and the hikers to hear, "and you're trespassing. Every second you stay here, you're breaking the law, and every bit of this is on video." Suddenly, nobody wanted to look at Karen. One investor demanded proof. Karen tried her caretaker story, but her voice cracked this time. I pulled out my deed, my tax receipts, read them out loud. Phones were filming the crowd buzzing, and Karen finally snapped, started screaming that I was ruining everything that she'd been promised, this land, before I ever showed up. That's when the sheriff pulled up, sirens, lights, the whole 9 yards. I handed over the documents, the footage, everything. Neighbors stepped up, witnesses to it all. And for once, Karen had nothing left to say. The sheriff cuffed her right there at my gate, read her rights, while hikers filmed and investors walked away muttering they wanted no part of any of it. Her SUV got towed. And just like that, the war ended, not with a bang, but with Karen's empire crumbling in full view of everyone. After that, my story made the rounds. The videos went viral. Karen became a punchline, a lesson in how not to steal a house in the internet age. I got my quiet mornings back, coffee, porch pine needles, and no drama. The not for sale sign is still up, not out of fear, but as a reminder, cross the line and you'll pay the price. Every now and then, hikers still stop ask about the Karen incident. I just shake my head and say, this place isn't for sale. Never was, never will be. She wrote her own ending, caged by her own schemes, exposed for all to see. But here's what keeps me up sometimes. If it happened to me, how many others are fighting these battles? Nobody sees right in their own backyard. Would you stand your ground or let someone like Karen write you out of your own story? I'd really like to know. Tell me in the comments if you've ever had a neighbor cross the line and what you did when no one was watching. Let's hear your side.